What's up, everybody? My name is Shannon, and I am still waiting for my Satyr, and welcome to part 2 of my discussion of Dread Nation, because I just love this book so much that it has to have 2 videos. Now, the reason that I'm talking about this separately is because I am going to get into a little bit of spoilers, and I don't consider these spoilers because it doesn't have anything necessarily to do with the plot or the direction that the book is going. I don't think it really gives anything away to where the second book could be going or anything like that. But it isn't really revealed or really talked about until the very end of the book. So just in case you're sensitive to that kind of stuff, just know that this isn't talked about until later on. And plus, I just have a lot that I want to say about this section, and it's the way that Dread Nation handles sexuality. Now, in a lot of YA books, there is a love story, there is a love triangle, or it is just a major part of the main character's story, and that is totally fine. Like, love can be part of your story. Like, you can be a strong female character and still want to find love. It can still drive your story. I talk about this all the time. I'm on Network 1901. That's the entire reason I have the History of a Disney Princess series. But you do see a lot of those, or you see books or just media in general saying like, oh no, you cannot be a strong female character if you like want to find love, or if romance is part of your story. Like, no, like that's gross and girly and you can't have that and be strong at the same time. And let me tell you, I cannot stand these two extremes, because that's not how life works, and it's just another way to put women in boxes, and that is a whole nother rant for a whole nother time. But the way that Dread Nation handles sexuality, to me, is so amazingly well done, because the main character of this story, Jane McKean, is bisexual, which for one, we don't see a lot of, and for two, it's handled in an amazing way, because there isn't any like romance in this book. Not necessarily. There isn't like a love triangle. It's not a plot point in the story or anything like that, but it is stressed that Jane has had past relationships. It is stressed that she is attracted to a lot of the men that we meet. It is stressed that she's attracted to a lot of the women that we meet. It's just like little things that are added in to Jane's internal monologue. It's not anything that like stops the book where it's like, oh, now we're talking about this thing now, and let me explain all of the points and parameters and all of this kind of stuff and the social issues surrounding a girl in this society, like whatever. It's just like little things that are added in because Jane is the main character, and this is what she's thinking about when she's meeting other people. And it also is there because romance is not off the table for Jane's story. It could come later. We could have a love triangle later on, which I do think we're gonna get a little bit of one. I don't think it's going to be quite as tropey as love triangles are normally, especially because it's not established in the first book, but I do think that's where we're going, because a majority of this book is spent with Jane's ex-boyfriend, in quotations, Jackson, and it's very clear that she still has feelings for him and that something could come of it. They're still friends and they're still working together. Again, like romance or that sexual tension isn't necessarily like a plot point in the story, but it is still there, and it's something that could get explored later. But then we also see that Jane is kind of interested in this man that we meet when they like go off to this like zombie town type thing, and his name is Gideon, and there is something there as well. There is something where I feel like he's going to come into play too. Like if romance starts to become part of Jane's story, it's going to be a little thing with her and Gideon and Jackson. Now, of course, that doesn't really lend too much to her bisexuality, but I do love that it's there, and I do love that the author doesn't ever really forget that it's there. Now, granted, I'm not bisexual myself, so I could just be like talking out of my ass and not really knowing what's going on, but I feel like she does a really good job with that representation. But that isn't all. We also have Catherine, and like I said in my regular review, Catherine is like the snotty mean girl of the school, except there's a lot more to her, and this whole book you get to learn all of the different sides of her. Like you get to learn that she is too pretty to be an attendant. Like she's doing all of this training, she's at the top of her class, she's working so hard to be an attendant, to like carve out a life for herself, but she's too pretty to be one. No lady is ever going to take her on because she'd be a threat to them. Like other men would fall in love with her because she's not black enough. She is just passing enough, like she's very fair, to where a lot of people mistake her for a white lady. So like no woman is ever going to take her on as an attendant. So that avenue is pretty much dead to her, which basically only leaves her with becoming a household servant, or like becoming a whore like her mother, or pretending to be a white woman and marrying and living a lie and making sure that nobody ever finds out out this lie, because then they would definitely kill her. Like, this is somebody who is working so freaking hard. She's doing everything that she can, but because of something that she can't control, she's being forced to reevaluate her choices. She's being forced into boxes and corners that she doesn't want to be in. She just wants the freedom to be her own person. She wants to travel. She wants to do things for herself, but society is telling her that she can't. And on top of that, Catherine is also asexual, and if any of you guys watched my Tosh Hart's Tolstoy video, you'll know that I identify that way as well, and I was unbelievably disappointed by that book. It was supposed to be about ace representation. I felt like it failed in every possible way, and I was so devastated by it. And lo and behold, like, to my utter surprise, I was introduced to an asexual character in this book, and she's my favorite character. She was my favorite character before they even said anything about her being asexual. When that was revealed, I just felt so unbelievably understood. I saw myself on the page, and like, that hasn't happened in a very long time. Like, it's happened a little bit, but never quite like how it has with Catherine, and I just couldn't believe it. And I really cannot express what it meant to me when they had the conversation of Jane talking to Catherine about her life choices and about how, like, she could get married and this, that, and the other thing. And Catherine just says, I don't want to get married. I've never thought of men that way. I don't think about them that way. It's not something that I want. And Jane just asks her, she's like, oh, like, so you're into women? And she's like, no, I'm not into anybody that way. That's just not what I want. I just want to do my own thing. I just want to be me. That's not necessarily what I'm looking for. That's not part of my story. And I just couldn't get over it because it was so simple and easy, and it fit in so well with the story. It didn't feel shoehorned in. It didn't feel like it was there for the sake of diversity. It just was another part of Catherine's story, another part of her character, and it did so much for me. And I cannot express to you guys how much I identify with Catherine's character and how much it means to me to have her, because I am also somebody who majored in a field that a lot of people like me are not necessarily in. I was in an agriculture major. Now, granted, I am like super sciencey. I love all of the science. I like doing the science. So I was plant and soil science, but most of the ag majors were like business or farmers or all of this kind of stuff. There weren't a lot of people like me. I'm super little, I'm super girly, and I'm super nerdy. I was not like really anybody else that were in my classes. I really stood out. I was super studious, super academic, and I really felt like I didn't fit in. And I started to feel like I needed to reevaluate my choices, and like, maybe this isn't where I wanted to be. And like, granted, I did a lot of soul searching, and I kind of am back on track and figuring out where I want to go, but I saw that in Catherine's struggle and how what she wants to do, and like how people in society are telling her that no, she can't, because of things that are out of her control. They have expectations for her that are judged solely on how she looks, that are judged solely on things that she cannot control. And I really saw myself in that. And then on top of that, when it was revealed that she was asexual, I just got so unbelievably happy. Like, I started crying. Like, I cannot express to you how grateful I am to have this character. To kind of bring it back around here, I did talk about diversity in my other video, but it is so important to represent lots of different perspectives and so many different points of views. Like, we talk about representation all of the time, and it really wasn't until this book that I realized how freaking important that is, because this book is from the perspective of a Black girl in this unbelievably racist society, in this unbelievably like stuck in their ways society fresh out of the Civil War. It's about a girl who is bisexual, and romance isn't necessarily part of her story, but she's not dismissing it altogether either. Like, it's just her moving forward. She's so unbelievably smart. She's doing her own thing. And I know there are a ton of people out there that need Jane McKean. I know there are a ton of people out there that will identify with her story, that needed that to be on the page. And I also know that I'm not the only one who needs Catherine. I also know that I am not the only one who needs to see a character like this represented out there. And like Justina Ireland, I 100% applaud you for this book. I think you absolutely nailed it. I think you hit it out of the park. And I really, really hope I get to meet you at Star Wars Celebration, because I would like to hug you and thank you in person for just making me feel so unbelievably understood. But this video went on for a lot lot longer than I intended it to. I do want to say thank you to everybody who replied to my Tosh Hearts Tolstoy video and gave me some recommendations for a sexual representation. As of recording this video, I haven't gotten to any of those yet, but I am so grateful that you gave them to me. I just happened to get lucky and I started Dread Nation and had no idea that it was going to have Ace Rep in it, which is another reason why it caught me off guard. I was so surprised by it, but I want to thank all of you guys out there who sent me all of those recommendations. But please go read this book. Do yourself a favor. Just go and read it. Trust me, I did not spoil anything for you. You do know a couple more details than you probably would have known from the back of the book, but go do yourself a favor. Just go read this book. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit that like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe so you can talk books with me every week. That is everything I got for you today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!